Thank you for your interest in volunteering at Fieldstone Farm Therapeutic Riding Center. Each week, over 200 students participate in some aspect of our program. Our work can only be accomplished with the hundreds of volunteers who make a weekly commitment to our students and horses. Volunteering at Fieldstone Farm TRC is fun and challenging. This introduction to our facility and program will help you in preparation for your upcoming volunteer training session. We hope you'll take the time to watch the entire presentation and then use it as a refresher after your hands-on training to remind you of our policies and procedures. There's lots to learn and no one expects you to remember everything the first time. Fieldstone Farm TRC is a NARA, or North American Riding for the Handicapped Association, accredited therapeutic riding center. We must comply with over 70 stringent standards and uphold a level of excellence and safety in order to maintain our status as a premier therapeutic riding center. Many people who come to volunteer at Fieldstone Farm TRC have had a great deal of horse experience and may notice that we might perform certain tasks differently. We ask that all of our volunteers conform to our procedures for the safety of the horses, the students, as well as other volunteers. Please dress appropriately. Make sure you leave all large jewelry at home and be sure to have appropriate footwear. No sandals, open-toed, or open-back shoes. Boots or tennis shoes are best. We also ask that you refrain from wearing clothing that is too revealing, such as halter tops and short shorts. Also, please leave pagers and cell phones in your vehicle. This is our TAC room. Here you'll find all information pertaining to your volunteer experience, volunteer name badges, and the volunteer corner with bulletin boards that will keep you current on any important volunteer information or special events. We have a weekly volunteer newsletter to inform you of activities or special information for the coming week. Of course, the most important thing to find in the TAC room is the TAC. Here you'll find the saddles, bridles, girths, reins, lead lines, stirrups, therapy pads, and other assorted pads and covers necessary for the comfort and safety of both our students and horses. When you arrive to volunteer, the first thing you'll need to do is put on your name badge and sign in. You'll need a 4-digit PIN to access your records. It's important to remember to sign in and out each time you enter the facility. Name badges are arranged according to your volunteer day. You may notice that badges are coded with different color stars. As you progress through your training and experience, you will have the opportunity to be promoted to different skill levels. There are several skill trainings each year for volunteers to raise their proficiency levels. New volunteers will work with an established volunteer for their first few sessions. Now that you're ready to begin, you will either be greeted by an instructor or a lead volunteer who will help direct you for the day. Remember, as a new volunteer, you'll be paired up with a current volunteer for a while. Until you learn where your assigned horse lives, there's a helpful board that will tell you in which wing and stall to find your horse. Horses do shift around from time to time, so it's a good idea to check the board weekly. For the bulk of our lessons, our horses use bitless bridles. Every horse has his own bitless bridle. These bridles are located at the entrance to each wing on the wall. Find your horse's name and take the bitless bridle to get him from his stall. You'll notice that every stall has all the important information about each horse. On the name plaque, you'll find the horse's age, size, breed, and color, as well as the name of the horse's donor. You'll also find other important information about food sensitivities, volunteer restrictions, and other facts about that particular horse. Attach the green lead rope to the bottom ring of your horse's bitless bridle and open the latch. When you enter your horse's stall, it's important to read his body language. Is he facing the back of the stall? In that case, we'll want to call him by name to get him to turn around. In fact, it's always a good rule of thumb to call the horse by name as you open the door. Sleeping horses can startle if we don't warn them of our presence. If your horse is lying down, call to him and knock on his stall door to get him up. If he won't get up, get a staff member to help you. When you enter the stall, open the door just enough to get inside to put on the bitless bridle. Hold the crown piece, or top of the bridle, in one hand and the noseband in the other. Slip the noseband over the horse's nose and pull the crown piece carefully over the top of the horse's ears. Fasten the throat latch under the horse's throat. You don't have to make it too tight. Make sure the lead line doesn't drag on the ground and never wrap the lead line around your hand for your safety. When you're ready to take your horse out of the stall, be sure to open the door all the way, making certain to push the latch all the way in. You don't want your horse to scrape his sides on the way out. Hold the lead line with 2 hands. Stand next to the horse's head and face forward and walk at a normal speed. Where you walk, your horse will walk. Don't hold the lead line too tightly, but don't leave too much slack. Leave between 6 to 12 inches between the horse and your right hand. Walk into the cross tie and make a big circle to turn your horse around to face forward. On each wall is a tie with a safety latch. Without letting the lead line drag on the ground, hook the latch to the side ring on the bitless bridle by pulling down on the large buckle and sliding the hook underneath the buckle. Release the large part of the buckle and the latch will be securely hooked. Do the same thing on the other side. Once your horse is safely cross-tied, you may remove the lead line and place it on the hook outside of the cross tie. The first thing you need to do to prepare your horse for the lesson is groom him. There are 5 main tools needed to properly groom a horse: a curry comb, a hard brush, a soft brush, a hoof pick, and a mane and tail comb. Start with the curry comb. Curry combs come in a variety of shapes and sizes, including mitts. Use this brush in a circular motion from your horse's neck to his tail. The curry comb serves to loosen caked-on dirt and loose hair. Be sure to reach underneath the front legs. The second brush is the hard brush. This brush goes in the direction of the hair, and it removes the dirt and hair you loosened with the curry comb. You can go from the top of the neck to the tail and down the legs. The next brush is the soft brush. This brush gets the last bit of dirt remaining on your horse. This brush goes everywhere, even on your horse's face. Hoof care is very important to the health of a horse. Many volunteers, especially new ones, are not comfortable picking out hooves. If you're not comfortable, just ask someone to help you and they'll be glad to do it for you. To pick up a hoof, face the back of the horse and simply lean against the leg you want the horse to lift until the horse lifts the foot. Grab the hoof where the leg and hoof meet and use the opposite hand to firmly remove the dirt from the hoof. In a clean hoof, you will be able to see the frog, which looks like a V in the middle of the foot. Repeat this process on all 4 feet. The 5th brush, the mane and tail brush, is optional. If your horse has a particularly muddy tail or dirt in its mane, then use this brush the same way you would brush your own hair. Let's review the brushes. Curry comb, hard brush, soft brush, hoof pick, mane and tail brush. Now you're ready to tack. If at any time while you tack your horse you notice any damage or wear to the equipment, please find your instructor before you continue. We will need to replace any tack that presents a potentially dangerous situation. Let's start with the saddle and the pads. It is important to make sure that each pad is properly positioned on your horse. The first pad is the non-slip pad, which goes directly on the horse's back. Not all horses will have this black rubber pad. Next, you'll need a dressage pad. Let the front of this pad rest on the horse's withers. The next pad is the correction pad. Place this pad on top of the dressage pad with the fleecy roll towards the front. Any additional therapy pads are then placed on top of the correction pad. Now you're ready to place the saddle on the horse. Gently place the saddle with the stirrups up on top of all the pads. You'll notice that the saddle will seem to be cradled by the pads. Now it's time to attach the girth. Every girth must have a girth cover to protect the horse. Simply slip the girth through the fleece sleeve. Most girths have a leather end with buckles and an elastic end with buckles. Attach the leather end to the right side of the saddle. Most saddles have 3 billet straps. Attach the girth to the first and third strap so that the buckles of the elastic end hang just above the ground. When tightening a girth, it is extremely important to tighten the girth 1 hole at a time. Do not pull up forcefully against the horse's belly. Tighten just enough to keep the saddle from slipping. You'll have time to tighten the saddle again before your student mounts. Now attach the reins to the side rings of the bitless bridle. Attach the leather lead line to the lower ring of the bitless bridle. Detach the cross ties and you're ready to go. Up to this point, we haven't talked about traditional bridles. Here at Fieldstone Farm Therapeutic Riding Center, bridling is a certified skill. All volunteers must pass a bridling skill training in order to bridle. If you are not certified to bridle and are working with a horse that needs a bridle, ask your instructor or other certified volunteer to bridle for you. Let's get ready for class. Using the same technique you used to walk the horse from its stall, walk towards the arena. Remember, don't let the lead line drag on the ground, and never wrap a lead line around your hand. Make sure to walk your horse around a couple of times in the arena. Remember, he's an athlete, and like all good athletes, he'll need to stretch out those muscles. While you're walking around, take a moment to check your girth for tightness. When the instructor is ready for you, he or she will call you to enter the mounting area. Here's the student waiting area and mounting area. All students must wear ASTM SEI approved helmets when they are anywhere in the barn area, regardless of activity, mounted or unmounted. We will demonstrate both types of mounts we use here at Fieldstone Farm Therapeutic Riding Center, a mount from the lift and a mount from the mounting block. The decision to mount from the lift or the block is dependent on the student's mobility. When a student mounts from the block, the instructor has the student enter the mounting area before the horse is called in. It's a good idea to check your girth one more time before you walk your horse into the mounting area. Girths are never to be tightened in the mounting area. When your instructor and student call you into the mounting area, the leader needs to walk the horse into the area and make a wide circle to turn around. Once you reach the mounting block, turn around and walk backwards through the orange cones until the flap of the saddle lines up with the rider. Halt the horse and stand directly in front of the horse. As a leader, your primary responsibility is to keep the horse still. This is achieved by standing directly in front of your horse. You may hold the reins very loosely as your rider mounts. Do not pet your horse, grab its head, or hold the reins too tightly. At this point, the instructor and another person will help the student mount, usually another instructor or lead volunteer. Sidewalkers may or may not be asked to be off sides or on the right as the student mounts. Once the instructor is confident that the rider is securely on board, the student, instructor, and additional mounting helpers will walk out of the mounting area into the arena at the command of "Walk on!" Stirrup adjustments, additional girth tightening, and any other equipment checks take place now. Once all is properly adjusted, the student may start to walk around the arena to warm up, accompanied by any additional sidewalkers if necessary. A mount from the lift has many similar characteristics to the mounting block mount. The student will get on the lift, and the lift is raised to the proper level before the horse enters the area. Once you're called into the mounting area, make the same large circle and walk the horse between the lift and the mounting block. Stop the horse in the center of the lift, close to the rider. Once again, the leader needs to stand directly in front of the horse to keep the horse still. Once the rider is secure and the walk-on command has been given, the leader walks the horse into the arena, accompanied by the instructor and the additional mounting help. Adjustments are made, and once completed, leader, rider, and sidewalkers begin their warm-up. Leaders and sidewalkers have very important roles in the lesson. Leaders are primarily responsible for controlling the horse. Lead your horse in the same manner as when you walked him from his stall and in the barn area. Hold the lead in both hands, leaving approximately 1 foot of slack. Again, don't let the lead line drag on the ground, and never wrap the excess lead around your hand. Walk between the horse's head and shoulder. Walk at your normal pace. Don't pull the horse. If your horse gets startled, halt, wait for him to calm down, and then continue to walk forward. Be aware of the space between you and other horses in the arena. You should leave at least 1 horse length between you and another horse. Make a circle if you need to put some space between you and the next horse. There will be opportunities for you to trot in some lessons. Once the rider is prepared, simply say "trot" to your horse and proceed to jog. If your horse feels like he's starting to pick up too much speed, say "whoa" and ask him to walk. At the end of the lesson, stand directly in front of your horse and wait until the instructor dismounts your student. As the leader, you will wait until the students leave the arena before you take your horse back to the cross ties for untacking. Sidewalkers have the most hands-on duties during therapeutic riding. Sidewalkers are directly responsible for the rider. They are also responsible for focusing the rider's attention on the instructor. Use your judgment when helping your rider. Some riders need more assistance from their sidewalkers than others. If you have a very high-functioning student, let them be as independent as possible and encourage independence in all students. There are 2 main ways to sidewalk with a rider. For students who need less assistance, sidewalkers merely walk alongside of the horse by the rider's knee, providing whatever help is necessary. The other method of sidewalking is called the thigh hold because the sidewalker places his or her hand over the rider's thigh, applying a slight amount of pressure to provide stability. Too much pressure can throw your rider off balance. A thigh hold may also include an ankle hold. Avoid wrapping your arm around a rider's waist. This can actually pull your rider off balance. During the lesson, pay attention to the student. The ultimate goal of therapeutic riding is to encourage our riders to reach their fullest potential and to help the instructor challenge them to the best of their abilities. In emergency situations, such as a rider fall or weather or fire emergencies, the leader's only concern is the horse. Stop the horse immediately. Stand in front of the horse and await further instructions from your instructor. Never let go of your horse and remain calm. The sidewalker is responsible for the student. If a student should fall, remain with him or her until the instructor approaches to assess the situation. If necessary, the sidewalker may leave the arena to call emergency services. In weather or fire emergencies, once the student is dismounted, the sidewalker will accompany the student to the predetermined safe area. Whether you're a leader or a sidewalker, as a ring volunteer, your job is to assist the instructor and the student. Your instructor will help you understand how much assistance you need to give to your student. Activities vary from week to week. Maybe you'll have an obstacle course. Maybe your student is working on balance or learning how to trot. On a nice day, you might take a trail ride. Each lesson brings students and volunteers a new challenge and a new adventure. At the end of each lesson, students line up to dismount. Again, the leader stands in front of the horse and the sidewalker stands by next to the student. Wait for your instructor to dismount your student. After the student has dismounted, he or she will help run up the stirrups, give their horse a pat for a job well done, and thank their volunteers for helping them with the lesson. At this point, the instructor and sidewalkers accompany the students from the ring back to their classroom or to awaiting parents. Once all the students have safely left the arena, the leaders may take the horses back to the cross ties to untack them. Occasionally, students may stay back with the leader to help put the horse and tack away. Once back in the cross ties, horses need to be untacked. Simply reattach the cross ties to the bitless bridle. If your horse has a traditional bridle, have a bridle certified volunteer or instructor help you. Never attach cross ties to a bit. Loosen the girth and remove the saddle and all the pads and place them on the saddle rack. Reattach the lead line to the lower ring, unhook the cross ties, and lead your horse back to his stall. Make sure the stall door is completely open with the latch fully pushed in. Make a wide turn into the stall. Once your horse is facing forward, undo the throat latch of the bitless bridle and carefully pull it over the horse's ears to remove it. Unhook the lead line, pull and lock the door, and reattach the lead line to the bottom ring of the green turnout halter outside of the stall. It's important that you reattach the lead line so that we could quickly remove horses from their stalls in case of an emergency. Return the bitless bridle to the appropriate hook at the aisle entrance. Now that your horse is put away for the day, it's time to take care of some final details. Back at the cross ties, sweep up any hair or other deposits left behind. Once the cross tie is swept up, grab all of your tack and carry it back to the tack room. Although instructors or lead volunteers assemble tack, all volunteers are responsible for disassembling tack and returning it to its proper place. Place the saddle on a saddle rack for easy access. Pull up on the stirrup leather buckles to loosen and remove them. Stirrups are returned to their shelves, which are divided by size and type. You can look at the bottom of your stirrups for their size. Stirrup leathers are also divided according to size and material. We have both leather and synthetic. You can find the size on the end of the straps. Girth covers are returned to the proper trunk unless they are muddy or wet. In that case, put them on the washing machine. Girths are arranged by size. You can find the numbers on the elastic ends of the girth. Correction pads are arranged alphabetically. Find your horse's name and return the pad to the proper cubby. Additional therapy pads are also returned to the proper trunk. Dressage pads may also be returned to the appropriate trunk unless they are wet. Wet pads may be left on a saddle rack to dry. Return the reins and the lead line to the proper hooks. If there are no other jobs to be completed, you have completed your volunteer service for the day. Don't forget to log out before you leave the facility. You have now been through an entire mounted lesson volunteer experience at Fieldstone Farm Therapeutic Riding Center. We know it's a lot of information, but with some help from our staff and current volunteers, you'll become more and more comfortable. Please don't be afraid to ask for help if you are unsure of any procedures. If you're looking for other chances to become involved in our program, we've got several ways you can volunteer. We have opportunities for driving volunteers, office volunteers, maintenance volunteers, and volunteers who just want to spend more time working with our horses in non-lesson settings. Thank you for taking the time to watch this training presentation. Every year, over 500 individuals volunteer their time and talents to Fieldstone Farm in one way or another. We hope you'll consider becoming part of our team to help our amazing students.